Wherever you are right now, our globe and you are both spinning at hundreds of meters per second. But what if our planet suddenly applied the brakes till it stopped spinning altogether? You experience day and night during the 24 hours required to complete a full rotation of the Earth's axis. However, it doesn't rotate uniformly all throughout. The speed is over 460 meters per second or 1509 feet per second at the equator. However, our planet rotates more slowly the closer you are to the poles. The rotating speed is practically non-existent whether is it north or south. Earth's rotation on its axis only took 22 hours millions of years ago. Additionally, our days lengthened by 2 milliseconds per century. You might have to get used to a daily dose of calamity if the planet's deceleration accelerated and came to a complete stop within a year. Radical changes in the weather would be the first indication that the great slowdown has begun. This is due to the Coriolis effect, which is caused by the Earth's rotation. Air is deflected to the right in the northern hemisphere and to the left in the southern hemisphere. As a result, heated air deviates from the poles. The warm winds from the equator, however, would begin to gradually move toward the top and the bottom of the planet as it slows down. Cool air from the poles would also return to the equator in the interim. These modifications to wind pattern would be disastrous. They would increase global temperatures and precipitation. You never know when a vast desert will encircle your vacation cabin in the woods, and farmable land could appear where freezing tundra previously stood. Global ecosystems would be disrupted by these changes. Plants and animals would perish if they couldn't adapt. On the other hand, hurricanes would become less common. Hurricanes are produced by Coriolis forces and they cannot form without them. And the changes to the environment would continue. Our planet's rotation would start to slow down, the ground would not, however, remain stationary. Earth is like an onion, as you can see. It is constructed of layers, the mantle, the core, and the crust. These layers may not have slowed down simultaneously like our home's onion did. They would experience great friction as a result, which is equivalent to earthquakes and lava. There would be a flood of earthquakes and volcanic explosions during the year-long delay. The likes of Sweden, Saudi Arabia, and other places that are not used to severe natural calamities would experience them. You would be rewarded with a planet where seismic activity would be non-existent if you managed to make it through this tense and unsteady phase. The most incredible improvements to our shared environment can now be seen in the water. You see, the school globes conned you. The shape of Earth is not perfect. At the equator, it bulges. You guessed it, the planet's rotational centrifugal force is to blame for this. Earth is squeezed as it rotates, and as a result, the equatorial diameter grows to be 43 kilometers or 26 miles greater than the polar radius. Earth's central hump would get smaller as it sped down. The oceans would begin to rush toward the poles and move away from the equator. The coastline of the beach is retreating, which is a blatant indication that something is wrong if you live next to it. And I hope your waterfront home isn't in the planet's polar area. The northern parts of Siberia, Asia, and Europe might all be swept up by the Great Blue Sea, along with Canada, the United States, and Greenland. Now the south would appear much brighter. New land would be spreading out as the oceans drew closer to the poles. Now Madagascar would become a part of Africa. Australia, New Guinea, and ultimately Indonesia would change. The equatorial region would be fully depleted by the end of the year when Earth comes to a stop, leaving behind a massive megacontinent. A parcel of land so enormous that it could divide the ocean in half and circumnavigate the globe. The ring will be its name. Not that ring, please. This one is actually more revolutionary. It would be possible to cross the full length of the equator on foot because of this enormous continent. Travel agencies would take advantage of the massive continent to sell you packages so you could walk the whole circumference of the world. Set Everest aside, if you succeed in this enormous task, you'll be able to boast to your friends about taking down the ring. Of course, you wouldn't be the only one willing to make the trip. Our days and nights would lengthen as the Earth turns slower. A day on Earth would last 6 months after the rotation ceases entirely. Extreme temperature swings from a freezing -55 degrees Celsius or -67 degrees Fahrenheit to a scorching +55 degrees Celsius or 135 degrees Fahrenheit would occur on the planet throughout half-year cycles. Moreover, our biological circadian rhythms would be completely disrupted. As a result of a global deficit of natural vitamin D, 6 months of darkness could increase the incidence of bone abnormalities and dental problems. Additionally, seasonal affective disorder cases may increase, with symptoms like fatigue, excessive napping, and dejection. Therefore, traversing the ring would involve both taking on new experiences and staying within a weather window. It's unlikely that gravity would work in your favor. It becomes more difficult to move around as Earth slows down. Although your bathroom scale may indicate differently, you wouldn't appear heavier. This is due to the fact that a spinning Earth generates an outward centrifugal force that partially cancels its gravity. You get to feel the entire gravitational attraction if there is no rotation, and along with that, you'd start to feel as though you've put on few extra kilograms. Things would eventually grow worse. Our planet's magnetic field, which is created in part by its rotation, would vanish, leaving you vulnerable to dangerous solar radiation. Power grids, internet connections, and navigation systems would all be permanently damaged, and human civilization would be left to deal with regular interruptions of crucial services. However, if Earth's rotation stopped overnight, a broken smartphone would be the least of your concerns. You would be in a tough spot, as would our planet's very crust. Nature can never be changed. Hope you get the point. For more such videos, hit the bell icon and don't forget to subscribe.